Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to this presentation. Renaulution, that's the name we've chosen for our short, mid and long-term strategic plan this time. This is one word which is already part of our organization's slang, able to grasp the degree of transformation we consider necessary, while stating our belief that we will build it with our own style, leveraging the know-how, the assets, and the culture of this 122 years old company. We knew we needed a new storyline, with a new direction, a plan with solid and credible numbers. But we also felt that playing a new game would require a profound organizational change, putting our top managers and top leaders in the right positions on the field, giving them and their teams a new set of objectives and motivating them with a different reward system. This is part of what we have done in the last 6 months, and this is what we are going to present you in the next 100 minutes. But if you want me to boil it down to just one simple slogan, it will be moving our focus from volume to value. I took the time to go pretty deep in the system to meet the people, see the problems, the challenges, but also identify the strengths and scouting for opportunities. I visited plants, dealers, design and engineering centers in France, in Romania, in Russia, in Spain, in Turkey, in Morocco. Many different situations and issues, but one common denominator: the entire system was tuned to grow in volumes. Now, I would never dare saying that the approach was wrong. It might have been appropriate 5, 10 or 15 years ago, but it clearly failed in the recent past. Otherwise, we would not be in the situation we are in today. It is like a car growing in size and weight, becoming too heavy for the output of the engine. And this becomes very obvious when the latest Grand Prix are raced on more and more twisty circuits. Let's start by celebrating the good things that we inherit from the past. 10 years ago, we started amongst the first in the world with electric cars. We have a long experience on this value chain. And by the way, just to remind everybody, we are the volume leaders in this segment, at least in Europe. 20 years ago, we engaged and proved that the global low-cost car was possible and sustainable. We have sold over 14 million vehicles in the meantime, everywhere. We have built a double-digit direct cost advantage compared to our competitors while being profitable. This is very difficult to replicate. Almost 100 years ago, we created our retail finance branch, and now we have a clear overperformer with RCI, sporting best-in-class levels in profitability, resilience, and customer satisfaction. And then, of course, for the past 20 years, we have been members of the Alliance, which is one of our key strengths today. Not for the scale, like everyone keeps repeating to me inside and outside, but for the potential and especially for the reach. The reach in terms of product, ranging from Japanese small K car to 2-ton pickups. This scope potentially gives the three groups the chance to tap into 70% of the global profit pools and virtually any market on the planet. Reach in terms of technology, with the three members company engineering teams. This enables us to handle any current and future technology available and relevant in the automotive industry. Reach in terms of business, exchanges of technology and more between alliance companies generated over 35 billion euros in the past 4 years. Without forgetting that every year our common purchasing platform called APO is processing more than 100 billion worth of trade. On the negative side of the equation, two variables. First, the immoderate quest for volume. And second, an unresolved approach to market and brand portfolio management. The company had one objective you certainly remember: exceed 5 million units sold by 2022. And it strived to get there. We built a manufacturing capacity fit for this target. We increased our R&D capex by 65% in 4 years. And we reached at peak in 2019 only 3.6 million vehicles produced. The result is that our return on capital employed, the ROCE, was lowered by 50% between 2015 and 2019. Our break-even point grew 15 points above where it should have been before. All of this before the COVID. So we grew bigger, but not better. We also grew wider worldwide, still not better. We targeted volume pools, not profit pools. Outside of Europe, mainly in emerging low-profile markets and segments. After a decade of expanding our geographies, we sell cars in over 130 countries, but Europe still concentrates 3/4 of our profit. In fact, it may surprise you to learn that 5 European countries generate half of our profit. So expanding to over 100 countries has only brought us 25% of our margin. Expanding globally frequently brings also product diversity and complexity, and it happened to us too. Almost half of our lineup is made of region-specific models with suboptimal volumes. And we were not particularly disciplined with complexity in product development. So by counting the number of parts entering on average in each single plant, independently from the model, we realized that we were 20% above benchmark. Now, talking about brand portfolio management, you see here that we ended up with our 2 main brands selling cars in the same price ranges. On the right side, you see another symptom of the volume mantra. In Europe, Renault is well positioned in terms of pricing compared with other mainstream players. But when we went global, we looked for the easiest way to gain market share, selling entry-level cars. And my experience says that strong global brands have an homogeneous position across the markets. Now, let's look at the opportunities that we have. Over 2/3 of our sales are made in the B segment, when the C segment profit pool weighs 3 times more. And it brings an average of 30% additional operational margin per car. When you compare our operational performance in the last 5 years with our benchmark, half of the difference is here. We lost ground on the C segment in the most traditional European markets. It is as simple as this. I am seeing the C segment as a lost opportunity because we are talking about something we know how to do in segments where our customers are expecting us to be competitive. We did it back in the 90s, I remember, with the Megane family. Only we have not been able to replicate it since. In conclusion, the diagnostic is pretty cut and dry. Now we know what we have to do, and we have already started doing it as a team in the past 6 months. Reduce our break-even point, reduce unnecessary diversity and complexity, focus our investment on more profitable products, steer our business from market share to margins. This is obviously the first part of the game. Now let's look at how we have organized the work and how we look beyond just fixing the basics. I would like to take the chance to underline that this plan is not just a wish list. It is the sum of actions we have already decided and organized, and for some, already up and running. We have 3 phases within a horizon that looks beyond the classical 5 years of a plan. It goes from simply surviving the storm to putting the company in a better shape it's never been before. First phase is resurrection, running from 2020 to 2023. It will be clearly about cost reduction, margin, and cash generation. We are already totally in this phase. All efforts are focused on restoring our competitiveness today, which leads us to the second phase, called Renovation, spanning from 2023 to 2025. This is when we will benefit from a completely new and revamped lineup, electric and electrified, centered on larger profit pools and allowing us to finally leverage a portfolio of strong and differentiated brands. And then third phase is Revolution. From 2025 onwards, traditional OEMs will have to jump on the value chain of new mobility. Customer expectations are wider and different. It's about becoming a player in the data, energy, and services. We are getting organized to make the Renault Group a front runner in this race, scouting as of today for opportunities to make this company less dependent on traditional businesses. These phases have different endpoints, but it is important for me to say that for all three phases, the work is already underway as of today. I will now briefly hand over to Clotilde for a snapshot of our turnaround roadmap. Clotilde.
New ambitions call for a new compass. Indeed, we're also changing the way we measure our performance. We no longer talk about market shares, sales, and synergy records. We talk about profit, cash, and investment effectiveness. In the construction of the plant, we went for cautious volume and flat market shares, and assumed markets would return to pre-crisis level by 2023 in most emerging markets, and beyond 2025 in Europe. Any outstanding success of a product, any unanticipated rebound of a market, any opportunity to partner in order to synergize investments that might happen along the way will just come on top of these numbers. We commit by 2023 to reach more than 3% group operating margin, accumulate around 3 billion euro operational free cash flow, and lower our investment around 8% of turnover, moving from double-digit to low-level industry standard in this phase. We'll get there step by step, but our operating margin will stay penalized by the high level of depreciation and by decreasing R&D capitalization ratio. By 2025, we aim at more than 5% group operating margin, around 6 billion of cumulative 2021-2025 auto free cash flow, and a ROCE improved by more than 15 points compared to 2019. That KPI wasn't our focus up until now. It becomes fundamental as we have agreed as a team to be strict on the quality of our investment decision. Now, back to Luca.
Thank you, Clotilde. Thank you very much. So, as I said at the beginning, a new game requires a new organization on the field. This is the way it worked before. It's a matrix with at least 4 dimensions, too many layers, too many people on the same ball, too many shared responsibilities, too many silos, and a go-to-market going through the regions, with an underlying assumption that all that mattered were size and volumes. Now, let's look at the way we are working since 1st of January 2021. It is simpler, it's flatter, with 1, sometimes 2 layers less. It's not a matrix, it's a flow. I like to think about it like a 4-wheel drive car. The 2 front wheels pulling are the brands. The 2 rear wheels pushing are the different function, engineering first. Everything well anchored on the strong alliance platform. In the new structure, the brands are clearly in the driver's seat. They're responsible for margins, ROCE, and customer satisfaction. They pull the organization towards targeted customer and markets. Engineering faces directly the brands, therefore the business, and has full responsibility on timing, cost, and performance of product development. Everybody else is there to ensure the connection between the front and the rear wheels works smoothly. And every piece is in the daring and caring hands of experienced, credible, and passionate leaders. I think it will do the job and give us the necessary support to face the huge challenge we have in front of us. Now, let's look first at how the functions will contribute to the plan, beginning with engineering. Here, Gilles Le Borgne gave 3 priorities to the team: efficiency, speed, and value for the customer. Efficiency means, first, that we are streamlining by 30% the engineering organization through optimized outsourcing, digitalization, and reduction of G&A. We invest in new tools, for example, to divide the prototype cost by almost 2. We smartly redistribute workload amongst the different global engineering centers to reduce engineering rates. We already see a decrease of over 20% in R&D net expenses in 2020 compared to 2019. We have also reorganized the product development process to increase our pace and speed. So this modernized, lean organization will allow us to reduce by a whole year our car development time from concept freeze to start of production. That's about 25% of the development time saved. New models to be launched on existing platforms will be in the market in less than 3 years from now on. After speed diversity reduction has been our battle in the last month. Behind all our launches, there will be a 30% reduction of complexity from platforms to powertrain down to components without losing coverage neither on markets nor on profit pools, on the contrary. The alliance reach in technology will further boost our efficiency. We can proudly show that with the product strategy we will be able to produce an unprecedented 80% of vehicles on just 3 alliance platforms. We'll be efficient, we'll be flexible, and those platforms being EV dedicated and multi-energy and covering all segments from A to D. So when people question me whether the alliance is working operational, I'll just show them this chart. Along with Nissan and Mitsubishi volumes, those 3 platforms will accumulate over 6 million vehicles per year across the alliance. So when it comes to scale, that puts us in the finals of Champions League compared to other automotive groups. And that's more than we have ever done. Along with the platforms, we agreed on one of the most extreme powertrain rationalization exercises in the automotive industry. I know you are thinking that going ever greener comes at a growing cost. Yes, powertrain will cost up to 2.5 times more in the next years, with a direct effect on pricing. But over the same 10-year period, our pure electric powertrain cost will be divided by 2. The other good news is that for us, it has been already all invested. Energy mix-wise, we will be able to smartly leverage our legacy technology and invest in a future where we see Renault as one of the most progressive OEM in this direction. And it goes like this. We'll have fewer powertrains, equipping more vehicles, and spending on a wider horsepower coverage. We will reduce the number of powertrains from 8 to 4 families. But in fact, will only rely on 1 gasoline powertrain that, combined with the E-Tech modular hybrid technology, will allow us to cover low, mid, and high power, and therefore price ranges. So with that setup, I would say we consider that we will pass regulation on ICEs and hit CO2 objective even beyond 2030 with very limited additional investment, as it will be about changing battery size or changing the electric engine. This technology, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the hidden gems in the house. 1 family of diesel engine, we have already invested, and will be dedicated to light commercial vehicles for as long as we need. But parallelly, we are working to integrate the most competitive hydrogen technology and adapting the current engines to green fuels. We'll focus on taking advantage of our scale and experience to push on pure electric platform for small and medium-sized vehicles with same battery module in LFP and NMC chemistry. We are engaging in the future, playing the leader's game when it comes to energy transition. Now, the good news, I repeat, is that all investment in hybrid and BEVs are already behind us. Based on this strategy, and according to our modeling, we should be in the position to pass the 2025 regulation gateway. And for the time being, I can confirm that we have made it in 2020, and we are on track to meet 2021. But here's an information that might be interesting for you. We are already generating more contribution margin per pure electric car than per the ICE equivalent. In 10 years, we were able to reduce by half the cost of electric powertrain, and we consider that with the next battery generation, 2023-4, non-dilutive pure BEVs should be within our reach. For the e-tech hybrid, we aim to reach the cost level of the European market leader in 18 to 24 months. This is our life insurance in the challenging times of powertrain transition, something that puts Renault in a very, very comfortable position. In the same smart way, we want to approach the integration of the key automotive technologies in our vehicles. The message in this chart is, I would say, pretty simple. We will be at best competitive level thanks to the possible sharing within the alliance and thanks to a very open approach to partnerships. I have already mentioned the scale and cost advantage we have on platforms and powertrains. On connected services and onboard AI, I have to admit that I was very convinced about the potential of the partnership with Google in the moment I drove the prototype of the Megane E a few months ago. It is a totally different user experience compared to homemade or integrated system by traditional suppliers I have known before. We will develop this partnership further simply because it brings something better than the competition for our customer. When we will be launching that technology as a world premiere on our mid-size EV next year, we will be leading the pack for sure, you will see. On ADAS and autonomous driving, we have made a decision of being fast followers as we don't currently see a clear business case in the markets where we are operating. We will be quickly adopting technology, leveraging the Nissan push, who considers this application as fundamental in their strategy to compete in markets such as China or Japan, where everybody expects adoption will be faster. Now, let's turn to the work and the decision we have made on the industrial side. I suspect not many people know that the Renault Group is already industry benchmark for manufacturing costs per vehicle for the cars we sell in Europe. I would say thanks to a very cost-competitive manufacturing network, including Spain, Turkey, Romania, and Morocco. This is a fact. Now, the new strategy we're putting in place will allow us to gain additional 20 points of competitiveness in the next 3-4 years, giving us an edge on this, I would say, very important KPI. So, what do we plan to do? We'll take our 2022 plan commitments a step further. We'll lower our capacity from 4 million in 2019 down to 3.1 million in 2025. Our plant utilization rate will recover from its 70% level in 2019 to over 100% already in 2023. We are already starting to right-size infrastructure, sell unnecessary assets and services. And obviously, as most of the new products are being developed on existing platforms, they will be there, I would say, to better fill existing capacity. Now, the combination of all those actions, plus the fact that a lot of investment went into the upgrade and automatization of our plants in the last decade, will allow us to have a lean and high-performance operational system on the industrial side. Don't ask me today where exactly we'll take action. We don't want speculation or media buzz to hinder the work that we have planned to do. But believe me, we have a very clear and strong ideas and concept on where we want to be in not more than 3-4 years. But we will do it in the Renault way, meaning in the full respect of the expectation from the different stakeholders, especially our workforces. We have already started on the reconversion of the historical Flins plant, and this for me represents a very good example of our approach. Renaulution means also a fundamental rethinking of our go-to-market strategy. Of course, with different starting points and different challenges here and there, but with a common criterion in developing the plan. We'll stay only if we see the potential to make a profit. Let me remind you that even without considering the alliance, Renault became, in the last 20 years, a true global player. This global footprint is a real asset for the group. Outside Europe, it represents half of our sales, 2/3 of our workforces, 6 design and engineering centers, 16 vehicle production sites. The fact that we didn't reach the profitability we wanted doesn't mean that we want to give up on our global footprint. On the contrary, it means that we need another approach. We are going to change strategy on the product, right-sizing where necessary, as we've done, for example, recently in Brazil, stop the rush for market share at the expenses of profitability. We'll optimize our operations in Latin America, in India, and Korea. We'll strengthen our competitiveness in Spain, Morocco, Romania, and Turkey, for example. And we'll create more synergies within Russia because we see the potential for that. All these efforts from all functions will fuel our 2022 cost reduction plan and take it a step further. So let's have a look at the impact on our fixed and our variable cost. We have a visibility to achieve our 2 billion fixed cost reduction objective well ahead of what we have committed to, maybe by the end of 2021. The fixed cost reduction effort is happening everywhere in the company, and even more so, I would say, in engineering, where it is normally more complicated. We'll push it further by 2023 to reach 2.5 billion. We have plans to go further with cost discipline, including, amongst other things, a plan to revise our direct involvement in distribution in markets, including with our own dealers. We think we can achieve over 3 billion by 2025 when the right sizing of our manufacturing footprint will fully kick in, as I've mentioned before. And on the variable cost side, we have new design to cost approach in the product development, a clear cost responsibility to the chief engineers for new projects and to manufacturing for series cars, 30% reduction in diversity, stricter rules of up to 85% on carryover between products, an earlier involvement of suppliers in the process. And all of this, I would say, makes us confident that we will be able to achieve a 600 euro reduction per car at ISO perimeter by 2023, so in 2 years. I had the chance to meet the CEOs and the leading teams of our top 10 suppliers to challenge together business as usual practices. And I have to say that their response makes me optimistic that we will achieve the targets doing better work from our side, allowing them to plan for the long term and reduce the unnecessary cost generated by our own complexity. I think it's a very healthy base for a new beginning in our relations. And I thank all our suppliers for their commitment, because this is one of the areas where we will have to make the difference, and we will do it together. All in all, the picture on variable cost will look like this. We anticipate an increase of unit costs due to higher segment mix, and especially from the enrichments following the regulations. But this will be true, I think, for everybody. The 600 euro mentioned earlier will only partially compensate it. In addition, by our calculation, the effect of a renewed lineup and the change in market focus, we believe, will be able to overcompensate and therefore increase margins. Now the question is, are we able to cover the additional costs coming from regulation? The answer is yes, we can and we will. The combination of cost reduction and our increase in net revenues means a reduction of our break-even point by more than 30% by 2023. But please note that in 2021, we will be already able to show a drastic improvement. Now, coming to revenues, let me show you the playbook of our product renovation strategy. We'll regain our legitimate rank in the C and the D segment with a total of 11 electric or hybrid new models, pushing the contribution of mid-sized cars to our contribution margin from just 15% in 2019 to 40% in 2025. We'll manage this offensive while maintaining our leading position in the small car segment with 5 electric or hybrid new models. We will secure our position in the LCV segment with 6 models, of which 3 pure electric. And most importantly, we will be profitable in all segments. We'll take now a pause, watching a short video talking about the topic we didn't want to omit while building the plan: quality. Quality. So let's look at how the Renaulution will impact this discipline too. Quality is a key topic for any OEM. We normally divide it in 3 dimensions: reliability, perceived quality, and durability. In the world of shared economy and new mobility, where you sell kilometers rather than in the vehicle, we have a strong motivation to break the classical consumer cycle, which, by the way, all car makers have contributed to create. In this new world of circular economy, we want to reduce amortization on the hardware to lower down the total cost of ownership and offer the possibility to upgrade the product throughout the life cycle. Our battery, now we know, can last easily 10 years, and upgradable software architecture will make this easier. That's why we have engaged on the 1 million kilometer Zoe project, and for us it is a symbol of the priority we have set to become the true front runner in the new game. You will see the business implication when we will later speak about the Mobilize brand. Now, before closing this chapter, let me point out that although I've been talking often about the future, the work has already begun at Renault. And it has been, I can tell you, intense and also fruitful. We appointed Mission One, a dedicated team whose boss sits in the board of management and is surrounded by the best people in the company to focus on the turnaround of the entire organization on cash, revenue, and cost optimization. We are going much faster on the previous plan commitments on fixed cost reduction, as I mentioned earlier. We have reshuffled all lineup in a matter of weeks. We stopped, I think, 7 programs and decided to launch 8 new ones. We are already creating value. With the help of our commercial teams, our importers and dealers, we were able in just 1 quarter to cash back 5.5 points in net pricing. And we expect to go further by the end of 2020 and are determined to sustain this trend in 2021. Something unexpected for many, but an achievement that shows that everybody has rebooted the operating system at Renault. Earlier, I told you about the organization being like a 4-wheel drive car, with the rear wheels being the function, pushing the performance. Let's now move on the front wheels, which pull the system towards the customer, the markets, and the business. In other words, the brands. We were speaking earlier about an unresolved approach to brand portfolio management. This is a simple way to represent it. Growing overlap between Renault and Dacia, duplication between Renault Sport and Alpine, no clear customer targeting, no distinctive technology hierarchy, nor timeline in technology allocation amongst the brands. What you see now is the way it is going to work from today, supported by dedicated organization. Dacia will stay Dacia, offering accessible products based on proven and affordable technologies, targeting smart buyers in any segment where we can provide a solution. The Renault brand will embody modernity to offer solutions in the core of the market. Renault will push the envelope on EV and hybrids, tech and services to attract progressive mainstream buyers. And finally, Alpine will move from a kind of nostalgic position to become our tool to play automotive avant-garde. Fully electric, still sporty, and exclusive. It will give us the chance to start from scratch on all parts of the value chain, from engineering to distribution, in order to attract passionate early adopters. And then mobilize. Mobilize goes beyond, into the field of data, mobility, and energy services, and will enable us to dive earlier into the new world of mobility, providing solutions and services to other brands and partners, but also attracting customers that don't want necessarily to buy vehicles, but merely use them. Now, let's start with Renault. For the Renault brand, we say la nouvelle vague of European automotive. That's the ambition we gave ourselves in a time where a lot of disruptions and discontinuities are giving us the chance to kind of reshuffle the cards. Nouvelle Vague, as you probably know, was the name given to a new film style emerged in France in the 50s and the 60s, challenging the Hollywood mass market dogma. A new way of doing movies, which at that time had actually global influence. And why? Because it offered a smart, cult, soul-filled alternative, and it represented at that time modernity in that industry. But what is modernity in the automotive business today? This is the question. But this will also be the role of the Renault brand in the house. Beyond doing what everybody expects an automotive brand to do, that means engineering, producing, distributing, and of course servicing good cars. And modernity is not just about integrating tech in our product. It is also about managing smartly the energy business generated by electric batteries and offer unique services. I will dedicate some minutes to show that we have strong arguments, strong assets and projects that will substantiate this ambition. We will turn Renault into a tech brand, into a service brand, into an energy brand. We are also putting modernity at the core, and we think that by putting modernity at the core, we will be able to reinvent our footprint in France. We'll have the assets to push the entire French automotive ecosystem on the higher end of the value chain. So let's take a closer look at how we will be competitive in each one of those three fields. First, it's energy, on energy transition especially. We are able now to challenge the leader on the hybrid market with our modular, very competitive technology, the technology we call e-tech. We think that this is one of the best solutions for European driving conditions. It's powerful, it's green, with up to 80% electric driving for an HEV in the city. We are also determined to sustain our leadership on EV. First, by leveraging our two EV platforms to create families of products in the C segment, but also in the B segment. Second, by sharing components and especially battery modules, we will be able to develop profitable EVs at the price of combustion engine powered models. You'll be able to see one of them very, very shortly. Finally, by enlarging and converting one of our plants into the biggest EV factory in Europe, we are working on ways to make it in France, including, for example, the creation of a battery plant with one of our top suppliers. This is what we meant when we were speaking about the electropole. Finally, we'll also offer market-ready, end-to-end hydrogen solutions for LCVs. We have just signed, as you've probably read, an MOU to create a JV with Plug Power. Plug Power is one of the global leaders today. And together, we will design fuel cells LCV based on Renault platform and offer turnkey solution for customer, including vehicle, including refueling station, and also decarbonized hydrogen delivered, the whole chain. We will be based in France, where we will gradually localize the production of the fuel cells. Our objective, in general, is to become European #1 in fuel cell LCVs, targeting a market share of about or over 30%. The target is clear for the whole Renault brand. The target is to reach the greenest mix in the European market by 2025. Out of the 14 vehicles we'll launch by 2025, 7 will be electric, fully electric. All of our new models will have an electric or an hybrid version by 2023. 30% of our sales will be fully electric cars, 35% will be hybrid. Will be both green, but also is very important, profitable. All our EVs have a better contribution margin than their ICE equivalents. Now, let's talk about coming from hardware to software. So better, let's talk about our new approach to software, an ecosystem that we call the Software Republic. This ecosystem approach aims at creating world-leading next-generation mobility OEMs and suppliers, engaged in building European know-how and defending our sovereignty in these key technologies. We will develop joint expertise in user interfaces, big data, service platforms, operating systems, cybersecurity, embedded computers, sensors, actuators, just to name a few. Amongst the founding members of the Software Republic, we can see great companies such as Orange, Atos, Dassault Systèmes, and ST Microelectronics just as a start. You have to imagine the Software Republic as a giant real-world lab where experiments on connected autonomous cars can be led in a controlled environment in real time. To do so, we will open 100,000 square meters in our facilities to our partners. And in this space, software and other groundbreaking innovation will be developed and will be tested. We will offer proximity to our engineering infrastructure, to our technical skills, and we will include our Renault software factory. In this lab, we will bring 1,000 engineers and data scientists, I think the best you can find in the market. These activities will create, I believe, immediate opportunities for the automotive industry, but also for other sectors, such as defense, infrastructures, aerospace, telecoms, electronics, mobility, and of course, also the data industry. The Software Republic will be one of a kind in Europe, and Renault will be one of the founding members. So, how will this translate into our cars? This is Automotive 4.0 artificial intelligence infused. Our cars will get better every day as they are driven. Leveraging in-house expertise and our Software Republic ecosystem will offer the best connected high-tech services embedded natively in our vehicles. Let's take a look at how it feels. With our in-house Renault app, we call it My Renault, our customers stay in touch with their cars, control them from their smartphone, and prepare their trips. In 2022, Renault will be introducing My Link, a new infotainment system with Google built in. Will be the first car maker to bring Google services to mass market cars. With Google Maps, navigation will be personalized based on the car user's frequent destination, including enhanced electric vehicles functionalities. Car users will access their favorite apps on Google Play and control car features hands-free by voice. Our cars will become more intelligent every day. In the future, they will adapt their functionalities proactively to meet the needs of our drivers. Our vehicles will gain value over time. They will be constantly enriched with new features which will be offered to our customer over the air. Megane E will be the first vehicle equipped with My Link starting in 2022. Now, on top of getting more intelligent, the second characteristic of Renault product is that they will last longer. You have seen our remanufacturing and refurbishing services work with the Zoe just a few minutes ago. We plan to make it a hallmark of our brand. This is particularly relevant in the fleet world, but also in the mobility world. This approach will have a big and positive impact, for example, on our residual values, but not only. So by taking a fresh look at Flin, we actually came to realize that we are the biggest recycler in this country. We have a clear advantage when it comes to second life and end of life of batteries. Or in other words, a lot of money is available during the life cycle. And the control of this part of the value chain has the potential to fundamentally change the business case of electric cars. At the refactoring Flin, we will recondition more than 100,000 used cars per year. We will repurpose diesel light commercial vehicles and convert them into biogas and pure EVs. We will upgrade mobility platform vehicles with new batteries. We will collect used batteries and find them a second life. And this is also why we say that Renault vehicles will actually last longer. I think this is also a strong commitment to sustainability. So now let's conclude the Renault brand section with a classical product planning chart, but actually not a very classical one. And also with the go-to-market strategy before coming with a little surprise today only for your eyes. When you look at the chart in summary, in 2025, we will be launching 14 Renault core vehicles. 7 will be full electric vehicles. 7 will be in the C and the D segment. It is a double down on both electrification and mix improvement. In Europe, B segment launches are 100% electric. And because our EVs already today generate a higher contribution margin than their ICE equivalents, the segment will remain a pillar of profitability for the group. Our CD segment launches are 100% electrified and will total 45% of our sales mix in 2025. The consequence of this product plan, and I must say, taking some cautious assumption on volume and pricing, is that we will increase our average price by up to 5,000 euro by 2023 and more than 7,000 by 2025. Speaking about market portfolio management this time, I want to say that for sure we want to stay global, but with a different philosophy. We'll reconquer our position in the C segment in Europe to generate margin first, but we will also focus on more profitable segments and channels in countries such as Russia, in Brazil, in India, and in South Korea. This is the approach and the strategy. Finally, I'd like to say also that once we would have settled the current challenges that we have in China, we will consider coming back because it's an important country. And when we do so, we will skip, I think, directly to the next generation, directly to the 6G, if you will. We are aiming at being profitable in all markets by 2023. Now, let me finish before leaving the stage to Denis Le Vot, the CEO of Dacia Lada business unit. Let me leave you with something showing what Renaulution means when it comes to product. I know by experience that when you are able to reinvent some cult products of the brand, it lights a fire under the whole brand. This is what we expect with the new Renault 5. It's a pure electric vehicle, but at the price that many, many people will be able to afford. And this is only the beginning for the Renault brand.
Hello everyone. I'm happy to present you the brands Dacia and Lada together. In fact, these two brands have a lot in common, and this is why we decided to bring them closer in the organization. Indeed, they both sit on a very cost-competitive technical, industrial, and distribution setup, making each of them a very profitable business. This model is something very difficult to replicate, at least for our European competitors. Behind Dacia and Lada's popular lineup lies a unique, all-weather business model. First, a frugal and disciplined design-to-cost approach in the product development, leveraging the best technically proven and amortized solutions in the group. Second, a labor cost of less than a quarter of what we see in Western European countries, combined with a very high local integration ratio. All this brought together gives to our cars a double-digit cost advantage versus competition, completed by a very lean distribution model based on low discount retail sales. Both brands stand for real value for money, and both address the smart buyers, which represent more than 20% of the world global demand. And that is why we sell lots of them. You might know that Lada Granta and Vesa are number 1 and number 2 in Russia. You might not know that Dacia Sandero is the most sold nameplate in Europe, if you consider the pure retail market. Duster is the most sold SUV on the same perimeter. These blockbusters show that value for money never goes out of fashion. The idea behind the creation of the business unit is that Dacia and Lada will remain separate companies with their own brands, history, and strategy. but they will benefit from more dedicated, focused, and coordinated governance. More importantly, they will be better integrated within the Renault Group to leverage synergies. Let's see what it means from a technical standpoint. Concretely, we have decided to base both range of product on the very cost-competitive and flexible CMFB platform. We are talking here about more than 1 million cars per year to be produced in competitive locations: Russia, Romania, and Morocco. We will go from 4 platforms to 1, from 18 body types to 11, with up to 85% carry across between the models. And finally, upgrading the substance of the product from a quality and technical standpoint, as this new platform is brand new and recently invested. But now let's talk about the product planning. The idea is also to unleash the potential of Lada and Dacia, making them full-fledged international brands, enabling them to go beyond their current perimeters in terms of markets and segments. The CMFB platform enables us to tap into the C segment with vehicles longer than 4.5 meters, as you will discover in a few seconds. This coverage extension potentially doubles the profit pool we can address. Lada will consolidate its leading position in Russia with state-of-the-art vehicles, therefore not only defending more than 20% market share, but also focusing on share of wallet. And we will not stop at the Russian borders. Our ambitions are international. Entering the C segment, Dacia will be in the position to increase its average price by a fat 30% thanks to the new product portfolio. Very importantly, it is all starting right now in 2021 with the launch of the new Sandero. Just Google Sandero and you will see the reaction of the press to this new platform. And continuing very soon with the all-new pure electric Dacia Spring. But what shall we do with the brands? Beyond those products, we have some ideas on how to give a new spirit to Dacia and Lada. Let's take a look. Yes, Niva, in 2 sizes, compact and medium, based on the same CMFB platform. Niva is a cult product, and not only in Russia. It is the Russian automotive proxy of the Swiss Army knife, a technical product for usage in extreme condition, 4x4, high stance, short gears, and robust construction. We all know that any Russian family has a story to tell about the Niva, like any French family with Renault. Furthermore, we think this product has a space beyond the Russian market, as they've always had. So besides the complete renewal of the mainstream range, the relaunch of the Niva will enable the complete repositioning of Lada as a brand. And now Dacia. Shall I say tout simplement? Dacia will stay Dacia, always offering the best value for money proposition in all segments we play in. But we want to bring the brand to higher grounds. Take a look at this. This is the new C-segment SUV by Dacia, the Bigster concept car. 4.6 meter long, on the cost structure of a B-segment car, and it can be fitted with alternative or hybrid powertrains for compliance with CAFE or local regulations. As a conclusion, our strategy for the two brands consists in 4 pillars. Maintain the unique business model based on design to cost competitiveness and lean distribution. Enhance industrial synergies between Dacia and Lada with CMFB platform and diversity reduction. Reinforce brand identities for each brand. Expand lineup in C segment and increase average price. To sum up, Lada is rough and tough from Russia to the world, and the Dacia brand is the best value proposition in its segment, still with a touch of coolness and outdoor flavor. Tout simplement. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm excited to present you Alpine. The Renault Group has an amazing sports legacy. Countless beautiful stories, gripping finish lines, memorable victories and podiums. From blue Berlinettes to yellow teapots, each with their own crowd of cheering fans. Part lies in the global spotlights of motorsports, part in a more confidential niche sports brand. The new Alpine division will bring it all together. Legacy and future, tracks and roads, F1 and A110, and reignite it all with high-tech excellence and passion for racing. Welcome to Alpine, the avant-garde brand of the group. Alpine will combine assets once seen as cost centers with an uncertain future into a fully fledged, new generation business unit developing exclusive, innovative sports cars. Let's look at the 3 ingredients composing our core DNA. First, Alpine, a true brand with heritage and pedigree. Arguably the epitome of French motoring, building its reputation on remarkable victories along breathtaking racing stages. But a brand would be nothing without the people building its products. As such, Alpine is also a factory, packed with high-end craftsmanship and savoir-faire, as we say in Dieppe. Second, Renault Sport, a team of 300 engineering wizards dedicated to special assignments, mastering the entire sports car development from design to after-sale. They gave us countless iconic products, such as R5 Turbo, Clio V6, Megane RS Trophy, the list is long. They're also behind the revival of A110. Third and last, but not least, Formula One. Our F1 team gathers 1,200 spearheading clockmasters, developing the grand complication watches of motorsports. Elite engineers trained to compete against the most aspirational and highly funded constructors. F1 is also a considerable marketing platform, with 500 million fans worldwide, a unique opportunity for global branding. By bringing together the credibility of an authentic brand, specialized manufacturing, engineering mastery, and significant media exposure, we set the foundations to truly create market value around Alpine and take it into a different league. This core of key assets will be further strengthened by leveraging a solid environment. Alpine can lean on the scale and capabilities of the Renault Group and the Alliance, tapping into a rich pool of existing resources, such as leading-edge technology, including the Alliance EV native platform, offering best-in-class EV performance, top-notch production facilities, and a powerful purchasing arm, ensuring optimum cost competitiveness, an 11,000-strong dealership network worldwide, and the array of RCI financial services, offering the potential to multiply 100-fold the distribution of Alpine. All of this will provide strong basis and immediate levers to the new business model. But above all, it's from within that this newly formed division will extract the necessary spirit and additional value to switch gears. Building on F1 expertise and technologies, we will inject cutting-edge features in all Alpine products. On the track, every kilowatt of power is paramount. Energy management is a skill we've honed for more than a decade. Taking this expertise to Alpine cars, we will deliver highly efficient electric powertrains, seamlessly connected to the road and the grid for best-in-class experience. On the track, time is of the essence. Data must not only be swiftly exchanged, but also rapidly analyzed and processed. F1 know-how will translate into state-of-the-art connectivity solutions, but also turn Alpines into intelligent machines, learning patterns to adjust behavior to routine commutes or sporty runs. More than ever, the future of Alpine is electric. We leverage the Alliance EV platforms to launch a B-segment hot hatch and a C-segment crossover, 100% electric. And we will team up with another legendary brand to imagine the future A110, electric, of course. Together with Lotus, we will develop the next generation of EV sports cars. These exclusive, future-ready products are meant for discerning, passionate early adopters. And with this exciting lineup we call our Dream Garage, the story becomes real. By now, there should be no doubt that racing in general, and F1 in particular, will remain at the heart of our brand. We've renewed our full F1 commitment and will enter the new regulations era in 2022 with the objective of consistently contending for podiums. 2021 will be a transition year, for us like for all teams, but the climb towards the summit has already begun, and we'll proudly defend the Alpine team colors with our very own Alpine racers. I'm very proud to show you for the first time our F1 car for this season. Stay tuned. We'll unveil delivery of the newly minted A521 next month. To wrap it up, the new Alpine is the story of 3 brands and 4 entities all merging into one to create an invaluable asset. We'll be agile, smart, and opportunistic, leveraging the best of the Renault Group and the Alliance, and teaming up with partners to go even further. Our goal is to be profitable by 2025, including investment in motorsports. We'll move from nostalgia to avant-garde by offering an exclusive, authentic lineup made of high-performance EV sports cars for everyday driving. Thank you.
Let's now move beyond automotive. Mobilize is a brand on a mission. Embracing disruption will help solve 3 major challenges of the auto industry. First, the gap between usage and cost. People pay 100, but use only 10. Second, the rapid loss of asset value. We will fight against a residual value dictatorship, the one imposing that new vehicle value should drop by over 50% after 3 years, independently from product physical obsolescence. Third, emission. In Europe, the auto industry weighs about 15% of the CO2 global emission. We strive here for a zero impact. Why are we embarking on this mission? Because many customers are expecting more from automaker. They move away from consumerism and wish for responsible, efficient, clean solution. As a car maker, we have all the assets and expertise to choose the role we want to play in the new car usage. We'll transform this disruption into opportunity for profitability. Beyond the core auto industry, we'll capture new growth territory. The value chain is evolving quickly. value pools are shifting up towards moving to mobility, energy, and data services. All in all, these three value pools will grow by 40% from 2019 to 2030 to a total of over 370 billion euro in Europe alone. This will be the playing field of Mobilize. Why will we succeed? Because we have unique assets and a smart business approach to leverage them. First, we know how to make cars, more than cars, purpose-designed vehicles meant for mobility services. Second, we know how to do business with those cars beyond selling them. RCI can offer a wide array of solutions. Third, we will provide data, AI, and mobility software platforms and best-in-class onboard connected services. Beyond digital, we can extend our service offering and geographical reach thanks to our unique network of physical touchpoints with 6,000 dealerships in Europe alone. In addition, we can leverage the refactory in Flins to extend vehicle and battery life. On top of these assets, we created a dedicated, agile business unit. Mobilize will have its own engineering and design teams, its own service offer in energy, data, and mobility. It will also benefit from Renault Venture to work with startups. Now, how will we create value for all stakeholders? First, as mentioned, our purpose-designed vehicles will be engineered for mobility services. Their robustness, lightness, modularity will optimize their operating cost, and being electric will enable them to access cities anytime, anywhere. Let's take an example. The car-sharing service Zity in Madrid, operating on Zoe, was roughly break-even before COVID-19. It was a successful mix of using algorithm and leveraging Renault dealers. Imagine the impact of using Spring, which is twice as cheap. In average, we aim at reducing operating costs by a minimum of 20%. Second, we'll make fleet acquisition easier. The financial services provided by RCI will allow fleet operators to subscribe, lease, or pay-per-use. This way, fleet ownership costs can become variable. Smartly financed, fleet operation can turn into an asset-light model. Third, we will increase used car usage thanks to our dedicated mobility, data, and AI platforms. We leverage the Renault Software Factory, the Software République, and partners to develop leading-edge algorithm and data processing software. This will allow better prediction of users' demand and better allocation of vehicles. We aim at increasing the rate of car use by at least 20%. Finally, we'll offer maintenance and recycling services for car-sharing fleets. And when our vehicles are no longer fit for use, we have a sustainable solution. End of life for an electric vehicle does not mean end of value. At the refactory, we can recycle used electric batteries by giving them a second life as a stationary source of energy. This will generate at least €1,000 per battery. Let's now take a sneak peek at our cards up our sleeve. This lineup is adapted to the most critical new mobility needs: car sharing, ride-hailing, last-mile delivery. And we're also working on on-demand transit. Let's start with our ace, Easy One. Easy One is a snappy two-seater fit for end users, operators, cities, you name it. Cost efficiency meets durability. Easy One zooms around, single or dual. It's electric and modular. The rear seat can turn into a trunk. Its exchangeable batteries will make it independent from public infrastructure. Made out of 50% of recycling materials, it will aim to be 95% recyclable. On to the King. The King is the latest Dacia revolution, all electric, lean and affordable. That's the best cost of ownership operators can get for a four-seater. And like all Dacia vehicles, it's robust, practical, and focused on the essential. The Queen. The Queen is entirely designed and developed for ride-hailing. It has an autonomy range above 400 kilometers. It will offer best-in-class roominess and comfort with its 4.6-meter length and 1.8 meters width. Finally, the jack of all trades. The vehicle we draw on our concept car EasyFlex. Its last-mile delivery solution is agile and practical, with an innovative loading and unloading module. And its cabin is especially designed for high-intensity door-to-door delivery. This is our hand of cards to win the mobility services game. Now let's see what an ace on wheel can do. In conclusion, Mobilize will provide access to vehicles and mobility services directly to end users through corporates and cities. We'll offer a unique combination of hardware and software, dedicated vehicles, and leading-edge services. We'll build on an integrated and seamless client experience on board and off board. We leverage our proprietary data from connected vehicles and mobility services. We'll benefit from our ecosystem of partners and startups. Tomorrow, by offering access to cars from 1 minute to a lifetime, we will create a unique value proposition for end users. Our turnkey solutions, including fleet financing, ride-hailing, car sharing and energy services, will also create unique value proposition for operators and public authorities. All in all, Mobilize aim at contributing more than 20% to group turnover in 2030. Thank you. Let me take back my CFO hat with my usual bias, under-promise, over-deliver. Let's be clear. The Renaulution marks a new beginning for the group. In order to illustrate how we will exceed 3% operating profit by 2023, we have split the impact coming from external factors and the one depending on us. We're not betting on a strong recovery after the exceptional 2020 situation. But even though this visibility remains limited, we expect around 25% increase in our main markets in the new 3 years versus 2020. The season bar shows the main external factors like raw material, forex, and the non-recurring cost reduction related to the 2020 lockdown. We also have in this bar the provision we have accounted for in order to cover unexpected risk. The next bar is what we expect from our commercial performance and sales to partner. The impact is negative because our focus is no longer on volume, and sales to partners assumptions are based only on the existing contracts. Therefore, the chart does not reflect any potential new business upside. Cost reduction will be the strongest lever for our margin improvement. As I already told you, part of the cash cost reduction is not helping the P&L, as the lower capitalization ratio and the increase in depreciation will limit the P&L improvement. The second major lever is the mix price enrichment. Beyond the pricing policy, the mix will increase as we have a clear ambition to do better business rather than more business. Enrichment will come from the required electrification of our lineup, But even after these costs, this bar should be a strong positive. The last bar is the increased contribution of Avtovaz and RCI. Here as well, we have been prudent when setting the assumption. We told you that cash generation was our top priority. The cumulative cash flow from 2021 to 2023 is going to more than cover our investments. This will be the consequence of the improved cash profitability and lower investment. I must add that the cash flow assumption includes a dividend payment from RCI to the auto business, and as you know, the timing of this payment is subject to European Central Bank decision. The working capital improvement should generate some cash inflow, sufficient cash inflow, to the same tune as a restructuring outflow for the period under review. But we have not factored in a strong working capital inflow, as once again, we base this plan on the quality of the business and not on volume. We will keep our investment in R&D under control. First, because we've passed the peak and invested in the most advanced technology to comply with ever stricter regulation. The investment may not have been the wisest, but at least now we have good assets to build on. The second, because we made decision to stop programs that were too expensive to provide a good return. R&D costs should decrease from about 11% of revenue to below 8% by 2025, thanks to a clear focus on ROCE and much lower diversity and complexity. At the end of H1 2020, despite the COVID impact, we had 16.8 billion cash in hand and confirmed credit lines, including 5 billion euro state-guaranteed credit line. During Q3, we have drawn down 3 billion of this facility, and then another 1 billion in December. The reason why we have decided to use an additional tranche is that this facility was to disappear at the end of 2020. And given all the uncertainties with the pandemic, we thought it was wise to increase our war chest. The reimbursement schedule that you see on the chart does not include the redemption on this credit facility, as we want to keep the benefit of its relatively flexible reimbursement term. But in any case, we'll keep our liquidity reserves, including the confirmed credit lines, at a minimum of 20% of our revenues. As you see, our destination is a place where the operating margin will be at least 5%, with a total cumulative free cash flow of 6 billion euros between 2021 and 2025, and finally, an improved ROCE by more than 15 points. And I think this guidance confirms the turnaround underway in the company. Thank you, and back to Luca.
I would like to take a minute to comment this turnaround roadmap. A minimum of 5% of operational margin might seem a lukewarm ambition. First, let's not forget where we come from. A little over a year ago, before COVID hit, our results started to deteriorate with an automotive operating margin down to 1.3% in H2 2019. Last summer, we reported a negative operational margin of 1.2 billion euros and a negative free cash flow of 6.3 billion euros. Second, our numbers are bottom-up and rock solid. Our assumptions are cautious. We did not bet on any market or partnership upside, as Clotilde said. Third, this financial performance will be the consequence of a profound transformation of our operations. We've set the basics, steady, healthy, sound foundations for a sustainable performance. To do so, we have done more than just resizing and cutting excessive costs. We streamlined our organization with a purpose in mind. We have stopped programs, initiated new ones, and reallocated our capital wisely. We concentrated our efforts on highly efficient, modular, multi-energy and full electric platforms. 80% of our production will be based on them. One single family of ICE powertrains will equip all our passenger cars. We push the boundaries on variable cost reduction, embarking our top suppliers with us. Together with our efforts on pricing and sales mix, this will allow us to face the regulation-induced variable cost peak and still be profitable. These cost reduction efforts don't just aim at downsizing Renault. They aim at turning Renault into a leaner company ready to grow again. This leads to a stronger operational resilience with a break-even point lowered by 30% and more. And that's only the beginning. Meanwhile, we'll build an in-house capacity to face more regulatory challenges, innovate, and offer competitive, tech-infused smart vehicles. This in-house capacity is supported by brick and mortar assets like the Electropole, the Software Republic, and the Refactory. It also supported by new skills and expertise from the AI, data specialists, microelectronics, and software engineers. This in-house capacity will be the foundation on which we will build our own business within and beyond traditional automotive value chain. It is very clear to all of us that today we are a car maker integrating tech, but tomorrow we want to become a tech company integrating vehicles. And we have already started the journey. Before ending this presentation, let me say 3 last things. First, I would like to hand over the stage to my dear colleagues and partners, Uchida-san, CEO of Nissan Motor, and Kato-san, CEO of Mitsubishi Motors. I have presented them our strategic plan. They could not be with us today, but they did it the kindness to say a few words.
Thank you, Luca. Hello, everyone. Today is an important day for Groupe Renault. I'm sure their strategic plan, Renaulution, turns a new page for them. On behalf of Nissan, let me take this opportunity to express my view. In summary, I believe Renaulution is a well laid out business strategy, taking into consideration the current ongoing macro and industry trends, but also with an aggressive vision toward the future. I would like to first congratulate Luca and the whole team under his leadership in crafting this strong plan towards Renault's revolution. When Luca shared this plan with me, I felt strong resonance with Nissan Next, our business transformation plan. With a clear focus on repositioning, I believe that Renaulution's concentration on brands and key segment while balancing product portfolio will help them deliver clear value and move them beyond automotive. This definitely complements Nissan's approach to beyond mobility and driving innovation. In May 2020, Nissan announced Nissan Next that aims to return the company to a growth path and re-establish our foundation to compete in the coming decade. And currently, it is progressing well. Our alliance partner, Mitsubishi Motors, is also progressing on their recently announced midterm business plan, Small but Beautiful. Together with today's Renaulution, each company's plan is designed to capitalize on the asset within the alliance. We all share common interests and are all aggressively positioning ourselves in connected, autonomous, and electrification area. As Luca mentioned in his presentation, the complementary and collaborative nature of our business plans makes me very confident of the opportunity the alliance presents. We all need to be prepared to face a very challenging business environment ahead of us, a challenging environment that we have never seen. In order for us to remain in this race, each partner company will need to focus on their individual ambitions, capitalize on their strengths, enhancing our competitiveness, and at the same time, collaborate more closely among partners to support mutual growth. It is critical that the three companies further enhance their combined strengths. On a final note, I'm looking forward to seeing Renault back on the path to long-term growth under the leadership of Luca. Nissan will also do its best. Please count on us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Takao Kato, CEO of Mitsubishi Motors. First of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to make a comment on Renault's new strategic plan, Renaulution, developed by Luca and the colleagues of Renault. After hearing Luca's impressive presentation, I'm more confident that Renault can achieve the goals of this challenging but dynamic plan, which leads Renault to realize further growth. In July 2020, Mitsubishi Motors announced our 3-year midterm business plan, Small but Beautiful. Renaulution and Nissan Next both resonate well with our plan, helping us pursue value rather than scale or volume. I believe Renault's 3-step approach to 2030 allows for agility to adapt and evolve to the many uncertainties we face today. Mitsubishi Motors is now focusing on completing our structural reforms and further strengthening our competitive areas. I am glad to see a similar synergetic approach in Renault's plan. The current plan allows for many areas of collaboration among the alliance partners and leverage collaboration as Renault strengthens their position in Europe, Nissan pursues their core market strategy in the US and China, while MMC concentrates on ASEAN. As I said, the world has been facing with very difficult situation, and it is going to continue for a while. However, I believe that we, Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi Motors can overcome this tough situation and achieve our future plans by holding hands together. Thank you, and all the best to Luca and all colleagues of Renault.
Thank you, Chia-san. Thank you, Kato-san. Arigato gozaimasu. I know you are watching us from Yokohama and Tokyo. Your support is most valuable to us. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Renault board for their contribution and support. And second thing I wanted to say is that electrification is only one pillar of our CSR strategy. As a leader in this industry, Renault has an ambitious CSR plan, which will be unveiled at the General Assembly in April, along with our new corporate purpose. I can already tell you that our CSR plan will be bold and revolve around 3 main topics: environment, safety, and inclusion. Finally, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for your support in general in these tough times. Thank you for your attention on this very intense 90 minutes. A special thanks goes to the people, all the people that contributed to develop the plan and organize this event. Even though some of the ingredients were already in the house, most of these projects have been created and activated in the last 6 months. It tells you about the speed and energy moving our employees in this time of crisis. The Renault people want their company moving away from the state in which it has been recently. Imagine what might happen if we continue with that level of dynamism for the next 6 years. A particular thanks goes to the 40 colleagues of The Source. You see them on the screen, the team that helped the board of management feed and structure the plan. Our team has put all its energy in it, and the most important thing for me is that Renaulution is Renault people's plan. Seeing what I've seen, the project, the team, the leaders, I am now, after 6 months, very optimistic that we will turn this company around and succeed. So thank you very much. We will open now, after a small preparation, to your question in a few minutes.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you for being with us this morning. So after this rich presentation, I think it's time to open the Q&A sessions. So operator, who is first in line?
Hello.
Who's first in line?
First question from Thomas Besson from Kepler Cheuvreux. So please go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's Thomas Besson at Kepler Cheuvreux. I'll have two areas of question, please. First on brand positioning, and then on the targets. So I'll start on brand positioning. I mean, I like the ambition to lift the average transaction price so much for the Renault brand, but we've seen in the last 25 years that the Renault brand has not necessarily been able to carry such transaction prices, and the recent efforts to bring fresh C and D segment products in the current generation have not reversed the trend of market share loss. So is it possible to have something more than the arguments you've given us in the presentation to explain your confidence in the ability of the Renault brand to carry such a transformation in terms of transaction price, and maybe give us an idea of what proportion of your 2020 Renault volumes were already at or above 27,000 euros? That for the Renault brand. On the Dacia Lada brand, a simple question about the regional reach you intend to reach, and the ability to limit the overlap with the Renault brand once you reach the C segment in 2025. How can you do that? Are you going to refrain from having both brands in each market, or are you going to use different tools to limit the overlap? And I think you didn't mention, Luca, who was going to be the designer for each brand, or whether it's going to be a team effort. On the targets, historically, Renault has been disclosing automotive and RCI margins. Should we expect from here that you're going to disclose profit contributions by brand? Should we assume as well that the targets you've shown, at least 3 and at least 5, are clean targets, or are they pre-one-off targets as in the past? And lastly, maybe more as a support than a real question, how much do you have in common with Peugeot for these targets? I mean, we know they've under-promised with global targets, and their stock price also fell when they presented their different plans. Do you think this is going to be the same for you, a negative stock price reaction initially, and a strong over-delivery on performance? Thank you very much. I know it's a lot of questions. Apologies, Thierry.
No, that's fine, Thomas. Thank you for your question. So I guess that the first one is for Luca.
Yeah. I think we have a strong argument. You know, the idea of going back to the C segment is nothing new for Renault. When I was here 25 years ago, Renault launched the Megane family. It was a great idea with different body styles on the same platform. It worked pretty well. It's just that in the last generation, we missed the wave of C SUVs, and we started doing sedans or MPVs, etc., etc. So you can explain half of the, let's say, lack of performance to our benchmark, basically because we were not so successful in the C SUV. In the plan, you actually have 7 models on that version, between electric, combustion, hybrid, etc., etc. So I am very, very confident that the car will make the job. In the proportion, I mean, it's difficult to answer what kind of proportion we have today, but I would guess that in the chart we say we go to 45% of Renault cars in that segment. We're probably around now 25 something, 30%. So it's a big jump, but we've done that in the past, and it was because of lack of a competitive product, not because our dealers, are not able to sell those cars, or because people are not expecting Renault to be, between, I don't know, the 30 and 50,000 euro price range, if I may. I will use the opportunity to answer also the other question, not all of them. But on the design, we have also organized the design by brands. So you have each brand. You know, Gilles Vidal is on Renault, Alejandro Mesonero is on Dacia, Anthony is on Alpine.
Patrick.
So and Patrick is on Mobilize. So, but I also Lawrence is like the godfather of all of them. Is trying to to govern this whole thing. You know that Lawrence is a key member of our team. And what I've asked him, and I've asked also the newcomers, is really to work as a team. So I think, sometimes they are around the cars, with very famous spin doctors. You need the opinion on everybody. That's the way I want them to work. But they need to keep, their identity. They reorganize their offices. So I think we will create more brand culture by doing also that. And it's not only on design. The last one is on the comparison with the PSA.
Yeah.
It's clear that what Clotilde said, we try to be very realistic, okay, in the way we define the targets. These are numbers that we did with the people in the company, so it's not only a top-down dream, and we are there to make sure that we are reliable as a team. That's why we commit to the 3 and then to the 5 minimum, because we know we can do these numbers, even in the worst condition. And that was a rule of engagement by doing the plan. We kind of capped the volume. We were prudent, very prudent on the market evolution. But I think the company needed that rather than dreaming about things that were more stretchy and then not deliver them. So it is clear that we go into some kind of under-promise, over-deliver kind of sports. Yeah, so I think there was another one on target.
Maybe I can rebound on
Okay.
target, and then we'll finish with Denis on Dacia. Yeah, Thomas, they are very clean. I mean, we have taken into account, as Luca said, assumptions on volume which are very fair. Everything, as I said already, everything which will come on top, like better market situation, an outstanding success of a product, any partnership. There is nothing on partnership in this plan. So clearly this is what we know we can do. But clearly the ambition in the company is to do a lot better. And you know me, we say what we know we can do. We want to do more, and we strive to do more on a day-to-day basis, every week after every week, and on a quarter after every quarter. We're reaching for what we know we can do and change the company. So that's clearly the ambition. Under promise, over deliver, whatever happens. To feedback on one of your questions also, we're organized by brand, but as you have seen, the functions still are central. So we're not aiming today at publishing our results at the operating margin level by brand. You're going to have RCI as always, and the rest is going to be on a different line. But we're not going to publish by brand for the time being, because the organization is really with central team for R&D, for manufacturing, will stay central. So everything would be a question of allocation key, and we don't want to enter in this game. We prefer to keep it the way you have, automotive, RCI, for the time being.
Maybe one thing on the organization. Can I take the mic? So, part of the organization is central. We've also tried in the brands to inject, know-how. So you have for each brand head of engineering, head of purchasing, and the industrial part. But we try to do it in a lean way and keep centrally. That's what Clotilde was referring to. Keep centrally what doesn't make sense to divide between the brands in a smart way. So one thing I want to say on the target, to rebound on what you were saying, is that as we took relatively prudent, cautious assumption on volumes, even in the projects. That means all the projects are built with new cars or with a volume projection which is more than feasible. Of course, the leverage of volumes and size is pretty big. I was discussing before with some of the colleagues, probably if you have a 5% increase in the turnover, you get 0.5 points of profitability more. So that's the kind. So you have a strong leverage. But how can you bet on a explosion on the market in a situation where we are today, right now. So I think it's better to do that, make sure that we can, sit on a very solid platform, and then we will grasp any opportunity that, the future will give us.
Yep.
Denis?
And thank you for the question, Thomas, regarding the potential overlap of the brand. What we see today is that it should not be a problem, because it is not a problem today. We have a great experience on the B segment, and we are targeting different clients. I will give you one example in Italy. I'm taking Italy here. When you take the cross-shopping, which is the hesitation of a people buying a Clio, none of them in top 5, there is no Sandero. And if at the same time in the same country you consider the people buying Sandero and you ask them what was the hesitation models, in the top 5 there is no Clio either, which means that we are addressing completely different client. Example, Sandero starts below 9,000 euros, so these are different clients. But essential does not mean boring, and we think we can replicate this into the C segment, and this is what we are going to unleash. And the car you saw is based on the CMF-B platform. So it's going to be super efficient, again, in terms of value for money proposition.
And when you know the kind of margin we do with Dacia, you can imagine what it can be on a C segment. It's a huge potential, clearly.
Thank you. Next questions, please.
Thank you. Next question from George Galliers from Goldman Sachs. Sir, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for a great presentation. And I have to say, I think everybody's probably excited by the new Renault 5. My first question was just on the margin targets. Obviously, you've given group operating margin targets. Can you give any insight into what your expectations are for the auto margin targets by 2023 and 2025? I think if we do some sort of rough calculations based on the level of profitability expected for RCI and VAD, it would imply a 1% margin for automotive in 2023. Does this sound sort of reasonable to you? And then the second question I had was just with respect to the fuel cell strategy in LCVs. Obviously, you're looking to have market leadership, but two questions on this. Firstly, by introducing fuel cell, are you not adding incremental complexity back into the powertrain by essentially having another powertrain derivative? And also, when we look at fuel cell, there are several third-party studies that suggest that from a cradle-to-grave perspective, fuel cell has a higher CO2 footprint than battery electric vehicles. So in this context, is fuel cell the right strategy to decarbonize your overall footprint? Thank you.
On the margin, thanks for the question. Yeah, you're right. Historically, RCI, the difference between operating margin and auto operating margin was between 1.5 and 2 points of difference. So if you do the same calculation, you would come to something around. But again, it's a floor. It's a floor. First, RCI, we took also cautious assumption because of the cost of risk and the environment. But again, this is a floor. So our ambition is clearly to do more, but this is a calculation that makes sense.
On the LCV, I think I speak under the control of Gilles, but on the LCV and fuel cell, I think you have the answer. You are asking whether this thing would bring us complexity. The way we see fuel cell integration in LCVs is basically with the idea of a range extender, which is an electric battery car with an engine. Okay, so the basic car is the electric LCVs that we were planning. We already sell in the market. The next generation will be fitted, obviously, with the new technology. But it doesn't bring complexity, but it's a solution because looking ahead into the development of the regulation, we really fear that the life of diesel engines, also for commercial vehicles, will be in danger. So the ability that we might have to be very quickly on the market with the new hydrogen range extender solution, it's actually the way for us to pass the CO2 and to offer a solution for long haul transportation in intercity. I don't know if you know, but Renault is already with the fuel cell offer in the market. So it's not something new to us. We know how to integrate a stack. The project with Plug Power goes beyond the product itself. And then I answer to your second question, because as I said, the uniqueness of the Plug Power approach with Renault will be that we don't only take probably one of the best stack in the market, we will integrate it with our experience in the product, but we will also take care and offer full-fledged solution to consumer, maybe big fleets, that want to buy the charging infrastructure, and we will integrate in our business case also the production of decarbonized hydrogen. Why we think we have an advantage? Because we are in France, and with the energy mix behind the whole French ecosystem, we think we can produce at good cost decarbonized hydrogen, and that will contribute to the whole story and to the CO2 reduction.
Clotilde?
I wanted to add...
C'est bon, Gilles?
Yeah. Oh, Gilles, but no. I wanted to add something on the margins that I did mention in the speech, but I wanted to re-emphasize. Don't forget that we have a big impact from, again, higher depreciation linked to the investment in the past and the lower capitalization ratio, which combined with lower expense in R&D, the amortization plus capitalization ratio has a huge impact on our operating margin in the tone of between 20 and 23, maybe 1 point or something like that. But so it's true that the progression on the operating margin may not seem high, even though, again, it's a floor, but the progression on the EBITDA is a lot faster. So that's what I wanted to tell you. And we probably are 1 year ahead in terms of reaching what we had done in the past when you look at the EBITDA level versus what you have on the automotive margin. We're paying the heavy investment of the past. And that's why we're a lot more confident to announce big numbers on free cash flow, because here you see the whole benefit of everything we're doing in terms of increasing the operating margin and reducing the R&D and CapEx level. And what you saw on the slide was really that for the first time since quite a few years, our cash flow generation from the operation is able to cover investment as any company should be in a position to do. So that's the point I wanted to mention, because I think it's very important when you're going to do your model not to focus only on operating margin. Again, we have the burden of the past, but really focusing on the progression of the EBITDA that you're going to be calculate yourself on your model.
There is also one thing which, I don't know if the mic is on, but another thing which we need to underline is that with the new product plan, where we try to defend our position on small cars, and then we inject, a very good, let's say, lineup of product on the different brands on the C segment, you actually make the whole thing more balanced, because we were on 70% of our margins on basically one platform. Okay, so industrial, but also from a business point of view, we will be facing a situation in 2025 in a positive way that we haven't had for many, many years. Yep. So it makes the whole thing. At least we are at least on 2 legs, okay? And this is very, very important story also.
Thank you, Luca. Next question, please.
Next question from Arndt Ellinghorst from Bernstein. So please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and thanks, Team Renault, for the presentation. The first question is on consolidation and how the industry will shape out. Luca, we've talked about industry consolidation for a long time, but so far it's largely been within the auto industry. I think it's very likely that in the next 10 years, there's a lot of tech entering the space. We see, Baidu talking to Geely, Apple to Hyundai. God knows what Tesla does with its 800 billion equity. But in a world where tech enters the traditional auto manufacturing field, A, how do you see the industry shaping out? And B, which role do you think that Renault should play? Would you be open to collaboration with a tech company? And secondly, and more briefly, on Mobilize, Clotilde, you mentioned 20% of group revenues by 2030. That's a very big call. And other companies clearly step away from ride-hailing, car sharing activities and focus on electric and connectivity. Why is Renault still in that area? It's very hard to earn any money, even if you make 20% of your revenues in there. It's very unclear to us, at least, how you're going to generate good good return on capital employed in that area. So I'm a bit surprised that you still have this relatively strong focus on some of the, especially car sharing activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ant.
I go for it. So, hello, Hart. Guten Morgen. I want to tell you that for sure we are open, and you see it in some of the statements that we are making. You know, when you look at the Software Republic, it's about bringing together, let's say, companies from different sectors, from infrastructure, energy, deep tech company to work for us. And in exchange, we can offer a lot of things to these people. We have had so many discussions, even in the space of shared mobility, where we understand that, let's say, they need us, especially for some of the things, for the control and the presence on the field, but also for the vehicle integration. This is exactly the Mobilize thing. This is why I believe that Mobilize will work, is that you have an engineering team behind, you have a design team behind, and you plug it with, you know, the bank, with the possibility of financing the fleet, etc. So for me, Software Republic and the Mobilize story, the circular economy thing about Flin, the story of Plug Power and let's say the hydrogen story, the thing we're going in the north tells you the vision we have. It's an integration, and it's a company that turns into a much more tech company than it used to be in the last years, and that's what we see it clearly. So we are very open. I also consider that we have unique assets, and I leave it then to Clotilde, who was in charge of bringing the 20% from in 10 years of turnover. But we really have unique assets to make the shared mobility business or the new mobility business, in a way not dilutive. Okay. We are not betting on making money the next year, so we have been also there very, very prudent. But please don't reduce the whole story of new mobility to car sharing. I mean, that's a little bit, that's a little bit limiting the scope of the thing. We have a lot of things. You have energy, you have data, you have whatever.
Maybe I can bond on that, and then you can talk maybe more if you need on the consolidation. But on Mobilize, 20%. First, it includes many things. It includes RCI. It includes everything we're going to do on leasing. As Luca said, don't restrict subscription. Today, more and more people don't want to buy a car. They want to lease a car at best, and then in many cases they want just to pay for the ride and pay for the kilometers they want. They want to go to subscription. They want flexibility. They want to be able to get out of their contracts whenever they want, or they want to change cars. All of that is embedded in Mobilize. So you have the RCI turnover, everything we could do in leasing, together, alone with RCI, with other companies, everything we do on the energy front, everything we would do in terms of data monetization. So it's a big number, and it's in 10 years. What we wanted to say with this 20% is Renault is looking at the future. If we stick to the usual model, waiting for people to be 55-year-old to buy a car and get financed by the bank, I mean, we know that in 10 years, it's not what it's going to be. It's turning to a very different model. Many, many people don't want to own the car anymore. So we encompass everything of that in Mobilize, saying this is where we want to play. We want to make sure that by focusing on today what we're doing, we don't forget the future. Now, a few more things. But we would nevertheless want to go in car sharing. As I said, we have found a way not to be losing money on that stuff. But you know me, I'm the CFO, and I think it's no surprise if Luca put me on that job. It's because he knows that I'm not going to spend billions and losing money. I would not sustain that as a CFO. So the combination of my knowledge of what RCI is doing, my role as CFO and Mobilize is to make sure that we look at the future, but we don't burn money and we don't forget the return on capital employed.
Luca, do you want to add something on the consolidation of the industry?
I mean, consolidation is, everybody, there are different opinions. I think it's an issue that for us, it's behind since many, many years with the Alliance. So our focus as a team is to make sure that we can really leverage the potential and the reach that the Alliance gives us. I think that the fact that Kato-san and Uchida-san were today at the presentation is a very symbolic act, for which I want to thank them, because it gives everybody a feeling that we're working together, trying to solve operational issues, try to let's say to make sure that we can leverage all the possibilities the alliance gives us. There is still a lot of potential, and it's working well. Unfortunately, we cannot travel too much to Japan. That's a pity, and they cannot travel to Europe. So hopefully this thing is out, and then we can shake hands and continue to work as we're doing.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. Next question from Jose Asumendi from JP Morgan. Sir, please go ahead.
Jose.
Thanks very much, Jose. JP Morgan. Good morning, Luca. And thank you for the great presentation. Just maybe a couple of items. There's some big numbers on Dacia, right? I mean, you're going from 4 to 1 architectures. You've got 85% carryover products. You're doing a double-digit price increase. I mean, it's I think quite very interesting to see how much progress there is still to be done on Dacia, on a brand that's already driving very strong returns. So can you talk a little bit about this CMFB architecture? How is it going to play a role to leverage the resources of Dacia with the group? Can you talk a little bit about the momentum on when does Dacia really gain much further incremental volumes on the architecture? And then I'm very interested around the price increases. Is this product mix related? Are we going to have some additional product launches that are going to upscale the brand into a different level? That will be very helpful to understand. And then second question, please, around the key actions behind the upping of the fixed cost savings to the level of 2.5 billion. What is making you more confident within the different buckets you have in fixed costs? What do you think is going on track, and what has already been achieved, and you think you can overachieve? Final question on pricing. Luca, can you talk a little bit around also, please, the incentivization or the relation with the dealers across Europe? Do they understand that Renault is moving from is going to be much more targeted in terms of the segments? We're not looking at volume targets, and do they understand the right level of mix needs to incentivize going forward? And I believe you've been doing a lot of work on that field as well. Thank you.
Tu prends la première?
Oui, je prends. Yeah, thank you for your question. I hope the microphone is working. Yeah, on the CMFB, the presentation I think was very simple. Is the fact that we are going to have 2 new levels of synergy at the Lada and Dacia brand. One is technical engineering, one production one, which is the introduction of the CMFB. CMFB is a brand new platform. Of course, it's the same as we're already using for the Clios and the Captures, but that has been re-engineered on design to cost. Proof point is the Sandero that we are launching right now on this platform, starting less than 9,000 euro at an entry price. So we did the job already and recognized by the press on the platform. And this will be the first lever, the first lever. It will be applied to Lada. And that is why we are going to switch from 4 to 1 platform, is when you put together all the Dacia model and all the Lada model, they're going to be coming back on 1 platform. This is also the second lever that you talked about and that we presented. The CMFB platform will permit us to tap the C segment. And the car that you just saw, the Bigster, is designed on this very platform that is being shared between the Sandero up to the C segment SUV. And finishing on, in your question, how does the portfolio will increase gradually? We're just starting exactly right now with the Sandero Stepway on the market. We're going to be adding to the range of the Dacia product this spring the full electric new car called Spring. And of course, these 2 cars are going to arrive further down the road, the SUVs based on the CMFB platform.
I can make an, let's say, addendum to what Denise said. This is probably what we call a P13X. It's probably one of the smartest projects we have in the whole house. We are doing 7 models across 3 brands in 3 or 4, let's say, production locations on the planet. for what? How many per year if you include everything?
This model is going to
1.2,
be more than 500,000. It's going to be 700,000
exactly.
just on this
Yeah,
model.
so with 85% of carry across, which is, so this is probably one of the most interesting projects we have in the whole plan. There are many. One thing I want to underline, Jose, is that this car will also be used on an international base with the Renault version. It's very important to say because it will support the repositioning of Renault upwards. And think about Latin America, etc., where because we, as I said in the presentation, in some cases we're too low into the thing. We deserve more. We deserve to be in the core of the market. So we will use this base also to do Renault version. But it was designed and imagined as a Dacia first, and then we had the idea of resurrecting the Niva brand to make it a very technical product, also fit for expert and fit for some extreme utilization. But it's a very good project for me. Yeah, sorry.
So,
On fixed costs?
Luca, do you want to answer the question about the price?
Yes. Look, I think we have already seen some very strong signs. As I mentioned in the presentation, I was even personally surprised, but I think that it went so fast. I think that people understood, what I meant when I was talking to the commercial guys, and Denis was the head of the tribe. So they switched very, very quickly. We gained 5.5 points net pricing in 1 quarter. Now I'm not going to propose, let's say, tell you that I do it more than 20 in 1 year. So I think it's, but I have to say that by the end of 2020 it's getting better. And also because we made some, for example, decision, it will continue in 2021. One of my objectives was to close the gap to our benchmark in terms of pricing. I think we're going to get there. You can look at a lot of, as you like numbers, obviously. You can look at, for example, how we behave with the landing at the end of 2020. How much stock we have into the thing, whether we have pushed stock or not, and you will see that there are already a lot of concrete signs that we are changing policy towards our dealer. Do the dealer understand that? They will see the presentation live. They probably a lot of them seeing that. We will have a discussion. I think if it's not today, it's tomorrow with them. So we're starting to pass the message. But the teams in the markets have already engaged in discussion on how to change the reward policies for dealers, because we want them to make money, because we know that if they make money, we will make money. And I'm very clear on that. I've always been in all the companies I worked. So I think together we can do it. I mean, you have to understand that the Renault is one of the companies that was the top-notch university on sales and marketing. Okay, so the base is there, and we're going to come back, and we're going to be very, very good in our go-to-market for our consumer and for our dealer partners.
On the fixed cost, I may take it. As we told you during the Q3 call, we were going faster than anticipated. And you will see that in the numbers in a month when we will publish the 2020 numbers for 2020. As Luca mentioned, we are going faster than anticipated. What is going very, very well is engineering. Gilles has done a tremendous work in engineering in order to rationalize what we spend, on what we spend it, and how we spend it. And
also on process engineering.
And also on process engineering. Thank you, Luca. So the whole engineering portion is going very fast versus what was anticipated. You know that we have negotiated the voluntary departure plan with the unions just before summer. So, between summer and Christmas, and now it's open for people to start to leave. So everything is going well. And we don't see any roadblock for the moment. As Luca mentioned, we want to go faster than the end of 2022, moving it back as much as possible through the year and if possibly even this year. And you have seen also that we are now extending the cost reduction plan for what we expect by 2023 and by 2025. So this is working pretty well. And you see the impact actually on the break-even point. The mix between the cost reduction and the increase in pricing and margin per car is exactly the reason why we are able to have such a drastic reduction in break-even points already in 2021.
As time is flying, I will kindly request you to limit your number of questions to 2 if possible. Then who is on the list?
Hello.
Next question, please.
Yes, next question from Dorothy Cresswell from Exane. Madame, please go ahead.
Hi there, it's Dorothy Cresswell from Exane. Thank you for taking my question. My first question is around BEV profitability. Your BEV profitability assumptions are pretty impressive, and I'm just wondering what's driving that. So could you share your battery cost assumptions, the pricing assumptions relative to ICE, and maybe also any assumptions you've made when it comes to BEV subsidies? And then my second question is around the possible upside from partnerships, which you say is not reflected in your profitability targets. Could you give us a little more color around the potential benefit on that front, and maybe even some numbers? Thank you.
I'm not sure I will be able to fully answer to all those questions. I'm sorry for that. I hate that, but I hate not answering. But let's say what I can say on the profitability of EVs is like coming into Renault. You understand that we have a long experience. We started very early. Of course, the company for a while gave up on that, but then we are back on focusing on the EV. The fact that next year we'll be launching the platform with the Alliance platform CMF EV, this is a great base, though this is, and I have seen other C-segment platforms in my past, so I think we have really a very, very strong asset, okay? What I can tell you about is the experience we have right now with the Spring, which is the cheapest, let's say, most affordable, let's put it like this, EV car in the European market, which is, I think a very, very clearly positioned car. And then, of course, we have 10 years of Zoe. And in the Zoe case, we reduced the cost of battery by half. We know that we are making, in absolute terms, more margin than we do for example, on a comparable Clio, just to give. And the Clio is also a profitable car for us. The EVs are still dilutive, but we expect that coming with the new platforms, for example, with that car, and changing chemistry, okay, we will be able to also, from a percentage point of view, maybe 24, 5, something like this, get to a percentage in profitability that is similar. There is another kind of urban legend about electric cars, about the impact that this thing has on after-sales business. So I asked the question and I look into the numbers. And in fact, what happens on the Zoe case is that because people are more loyal to the workshops in electric cars, we are actually making more business with the Zoe on after-sales than we do on a normal car. So it's a revolution. It's a discontinuity. We'll have to find our way to do the business. But there are some, there are some opportunities. I'm not going to comment on the cost of the battery. What the other people say. Where is the level that will make such kind of products competitive? So of course we are fighting. Of course we have. Very strong knowledge also on the supplier side with the Veronique team, and we will try to get the best, let's say, cost of battery because we have a very long relation with some of our suppliers. So I think even on that one we have a clear advantage. If we are able to commonalize all our technology with the Alliance. It is possible that this alliance will get above the million car per year sold on 2 platforms on EV, and that puts us really in the final of Champions League and will have definitely an impact of the cost. The subsidies thing, we make a kind of let's say incremental, let's say dilution of subsidies, maybe a 20% for years, an assumption from now to 2025. But I think that, if I look at the latest discussion on the Green Deal coming, for example, in the European perimeter, all government will be very motivated to push on that side. But my personal view on the thing is that subsidies are excellent, obviously, to boost the demand, to hit the targets, etc. But I think we should probably put more money on the higher part of the value chain, for example, in infrastructure, to make possible that the people can, let's say, charge their cars. We know how to do electric cars. We will have them in the market. We need to make sure that we facilitate the charging of this thing. That would be a priority. On the partnership side, I mean, it's too open as a question, and I cannot...
the only thing, it's very open. It will take time, because any type of partnership that you do today will take a few years before it comes in your P&L, and that's why we've been prudent. That being said, just take back the numbers in the past. What we've been, at some point of time, partnership was 20% of our turnover, 15 to 20% of our turnover. Today, it's very low, but if it comes back and comes back big, it can have a big impact, depending on what partnership we're talking about. And it's too broad as a
I think, if I may, I take advantage of this question to say that I think we have a lot of potential to work, for example, with Mitsubishi and Nissan, and vice versa, so that we can find solution and open some fundamental project with them. This is the spirit in which we engage. That will have an effect, but it's not actually considered in the plan. So we stay at the level as today, but we are already discussing some opportunities. And we have, if you look at the presentation, we have already announced a few partnerships during the presentation in which we have worked in the last weeks. To think about the Lotus, we are very proud of it, or the Plug Power story, or the fact that you have companies like Orange or ST Microelectronics or Atos with us. So we are very open to that, but give us the time. But as a basic assumption, we don't put that into the numbers until we don't know that that is feasible and that it can actually have an impact on our numbers. I think it's fair in terms of positioning.
Thank you. Next questions, please.
Thank you. Next question from Charles Coldicott from Redburn. So please go ahead.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my question. My first one was actually on your volume assumptions. If I look at slide 27, for example, which has your production and capacity utilization, you can sort of deduce that you're expecting to get back to maybe 3.5 million units in 2023, which is up about 16% versus 2020. But I know there was a comment later that you're expecting the main markets that you sell in to increase, I think, 25% over the next 3 years. Obviously, you're focusing on value over volume, but I'm just wondering if you can comment maybe on your thoughts on market share loss over the next 3 years as you focus on the increasing the price point. And then my second question was just going to be on the dividend policy. Obviously, historically, there was a policy to pass on any dividends you received from Nissan. Is there any update on that, and also on thoughts on future dividends given the strong free cash flow targets you talked about? And also, sorry, just finally, as you mentioned that your free cash flow includes dividends from RCI. What are you assuming for that over the next from 2021 to 2023?
On the volume? On the volume, you make the deduction that you want on our slide. That's your role, I guess. But remember what I said in terms of volume assumption. We said that the emerging market would come back to the 2019 pre-COVID situation by 2023, but that the Europe will not come back to pre-COVID before 2025 and beyond. So in view of where we spend when we sell our cars, that's our assumption we took. But we didn't forecast any big loss of market share. No, we're just following the market, but reorienting to the more contributing product and channel than what we were doing before. So in terms of volume, as you said, very conservative.
You should calculate the share of wallet rather
than share market. So that's it. So market share, no big loss, just reorientation, more retail, less fleet, and more where it makes money and makes sense versus other things. But again, the assumption is that the European market is not back to where it was before 2025. If it goes faster, then it's a double whammy for us, because that's where we make the most money and where we have the cars which are coming in. In terms of dividend policy, Clearly, we understand and we agree that we have to give a return to our shareholder. We know our duty and we'll fulfill it. But in view of the current situation, I think we will first and foremost favor returning to net cash position positive. It's what we need to do. And this will come according to the plan that we have today. But after that, obviously, we will go back to dividend policy. And in terms of the Nissan, we could come earlier back to dividend payment versus our cash position, depending on the Nissan speed of recovery. If Nissan goes faster, obviously there will be more availability to pay a dividend to our shareholders. Is that going to be an automatic path-through? I don't know. I can't promise because it will really depend. We're going to have to make arbitrage between what we pass on to the shareholder and what we use in order to restore our net cash position. Your last question was on the free cash flow, which include RCI. Obviously, I'm not going to give you a number. What I can tell you is that RCI position in terms of capital structure is pretty good, very solid, and we have more capital than what the requirements of European Central Bank is currently when we look at the numbers. You know that we have not been able to pay the last portion of the 2019 dividend. So as soon as the European Central Bank is less strict on what we can deliver as a dividend, obviously we'll have to come back to that. We have really sufficient capital structure in order to pay more dividend than what we used to pay in the past, but we will never put RCI at risk. We will always respect the capital requirement from the ECB, but we have a big potential in that field.
Thank you. It's already 11 a.m. Paris time, but I guess that we'll accept to have a couple of extra questions, but please keep yourself to only one question. Next.
Thank you. Next question from Stephen Westman from SocGen. So just go ahead.
Thank you very much. My question is also about the plan, about the resurrection part of the plan, and that is what do you expect in terms of labor cost? When you benchmark yourself, one of the key parts of the PSA's back in the race plan was reducing labor cost and also reducing inventory levels. So you can maybe give some data on that, please.
Well, on labor costs, we're not going to give you a number, but basically everything we're doing in terms of reducing our fixed cost. A portion is not labor, but a big portion is labor, and that's the reason why we had made the announcement we made I made actually in the month of May. So by 2023, we don't have much more than what we have announced, and this is a big way of working on the labor cost to go back to where we were before and even lower and closer to benchmark. Currently, it's true that in the last years it went up. In terms of inventory, you want to say a word, maybe Luca, on your...
No, I think, I want to rebound on the story of the labor cost. I think the reality is that, and this is what I mentioned also before, in a big part of the company, the level of competitiveness we have on this KPI is very, very strong. I see when I look at the numbers that probably we have a lot of plants, that are underutilized. So we have to do two things, which we're doing with José Vicente and then the product and the industry team, to right-size those plants, and of course to fill the plants with the products that we have in mind, that are most of them, or basically all of them, are based on platforms that are already industrialized and localized. Okay, so it will very quickly go to a level of let's say, utilization rate which is more than decent. Okay, and this will solve the problem. It's not about only cutting jobs, which is something we don't necessarily like to do, because we are also here to protect the work of the people. This plan is done also for the people of Renault, and I want to underline this thing. So we have to do a lot of things to protect this and be efficient. And with the team, we have some good ideas on how to solve issues in the past and bring the whole topic of cost and industrial cost, etc., to the level that we need. On the stocks, I think we came out, better than I actually asked you, Denis.
Yes.
So I think we were 20% down by the end of 2020, 486,000 cars. So you see that I focus on this volume. It's a very good sign. Because it means that we start the year lean with a portfolio it's almost at the level that I expect, which was around 1.8.
Plus 15%.
Plus 15, yeah.
On the portfolio.
Yeah, so it's 15% more than last year. So I think the way we manage the transition 2020-2021 from a commercial point of view is good. And we continue to work on that. We want to reduce in the medium term the stock by, substantially. So I can give the target but we want to reduce the stock by 30%. But to do that, we need to completely restructure, re-engineer, let's say, the supply chain. There is a project in the house that we are doing with José Vicente and his team to really make of supply chain not, let's say, a really competitive lever rather than just, a cost center. We will talk about that in the next years. I think you can expect Renault to be pretty advanced in this field, and the ultimate aim of this project is actually to reduce working, capital and immobilization of the capital, and I think we can show you very, very quickly where we're going on this field.
Yeah, we already talked to you about that in the first part of Luca's answer in Q3. The motto now in the company is more than 2 months of a portfolio and less than 2 months of stock. And I think Luca was quite impressed about our rapidity to get there, as we all were, achieve that in some of the months. Not every month, but it's really getting there.
So we have time for a very last question. At least it is only one question.
Thank you. Last question from Osman Schneider from Bank of America. So please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. But I would have, again, 5 questions, but I constrain myself to one. Just to follow. Yeah, sure. Just follow up on the statement on inventories. That was very interesting. So is the conclusion right that your free cash flow target by 2023 is also impacted by the fact that you had a very good working capital development basically in H2 20, which basically limits the working capital improvement going forward? Is that the right conclusion? And coming back again to the Q3 statement from the conference call, I guess that Q4 then was better than your original expectations. Is that right?
Well, I'm not going to comment on Q4, guys. I mean, the rule of the game. So I'll comment on Q4 in a month, right? Sorry about that. But you're right. We obviously everything which would have been caught back in 2020 H2, we will not get it back afterwards. But the fact that the working capital improvement is not that big, actually is not that small either, is also because we were cautious on volume. And you very much know that the working capital is linked to the volume development. But what is important is, in our view, the working capital recovery will cover restructuring costs. And that is very important because I know it was one of your concerns when we presented the 2 to 22 plan in May. You said, how are you going to pay for the restructuring you need to do? And the fact is, we have the plan in order to do so. So generate free cash flow, even because this free cash flow is covering restructuring, clearly. So that's a big important thing to keep in mind. This is after restructuring, so we have plenty of ideas in order to improve the free cash flow and get to these numbers.
Okay, thank you. So as you have understood, we have a rendezvous on the 19th of February for commenting on fiscal year 20 numbers. So I think it's time to close the Q&A session. Thank you for being with us this morning. And of course, as usual, the IR team is available if you have other questions that have not been addressed this morning. Thank you and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.